Terror itself, obviously. But the Terror does tend to seem...
Here, 1 second. My
Terror deck...
My headphone's disconnected. I'm sorry.
Tilt.
Can you still hear me?
Tilt.
Oh, what the Welcome back, everybody, to Common Ground Podcast, your favorite podcast about the best format in Magic the Gathering, Pauper. We're on episode something. It's been a while. We're trucking through. I love it. I am your co-host, Cameron Schindler.
7?
And I am joined by always...
This is 8.
This is 8.
This is 8.
You can't talk until I introduce you. No, I'm kidding. I'm joined by my other co-host, but totally talented Thomas Gunn. How are you doing?
I'm good, Cam. How are you?
There you go. Oh, I'm living my best life and visiting the fam in South Dakota. So it's a lot colder here than it is in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, and thank goodness, because it has been cold here. It was really cold all week long. We were snowed in. If you remember from recording remotely last week, but it's much warmer now. It's starting to rain and melt, and thank goodness.
It better be gone by the time I get back. And my other co-host, one of the strongest animals in existence, Hippopotamus, a.k.a. James Hieronymus.
Hello, everyone.
I like that. You're a.k.a. James Hieronymus. It's just your full name's Hippo now.
Could get it legally changed to that if I really wanted to.
If you really wanted to.
I could.
Holly had to, we got married, so, she had to change all of her stuff and, nursing's license and stuff, and it was a pain. Do not recommend it. For today's topic, we're going to talk about control and how that translates to Pauper, because it works a little bit different in Pauper. But first, we all played some more paper Pauper this weekend. So, like I said, I went back to South Dakota and went back to my old LGS, which actually just moved, same town, but just moved to a different location, and to what is now called Big Guys Games in Yankton, South Dakota. Check it out. Pretty cool people. But I hit them up and I said, you should change F and M to Pauper, and they did. So I got to play some Pauper for some of my old buddies and stuff. I played Gardens just because I had the list put together from our last event, so I'm like, I'll run it back again. And I know someone likes to play Boggles there, so I'm like, I don't want to lose to Boggles. Metagamed a little bit. So I get there, me and my buddy show up. He doesn't play Pauper, so I had my array of decks. I had Synth, Jeskai Glitters, and Ponza to let him borrow, or Coggates. And he's a degenerate, so he chose Ponza. So round 1, I played against Is It Terror without Mental Notes or Thought Scours, because they just put together the deck that with the cards they had and stuff, and so they play the monarch creatures. So that went how you would expect it to go. Garden's kind of taking that down. Round 2, they had hot dogs together, but Monastery Swiftspear got banned. So it was hot dogs without Monastery Swiftspear. So that kind of sucks. So they just still had that, so they played that, and I had more removal spells than they had creatures, so that's how that works.
For anyone who's not familiar, what's the primary creature and strategy of the Hot Dogs deck?
You play Kiln Fiend, which is the best creature in that deck. It is 1 and a red for a 1/2. Doesn't sound very good, but whenever you cast a instant or sorcery, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So you throw a couple Mutagenic Growths on that bad boy and a Temur Battle Rage, they're dead. So that deck's really cool.
Super dead.
That's the bad thing about Swiftspear getting banned. It did hurt that one deck really bad, I think. But then round 3, I played against Boggles, and they had a stiff mull to 4 game 1. That kind of sucks. So then I think I got them game 1. Then game 2, my hand had 2 lands, 3 Tithing Blades. So I'm like, we're keeping this. And they were newer to Magic too, but they were really cool. Really smart kid, and that was their first time playing against the initiative, and it really felt like I was cheating. As I'm explaining it to them,
God.
I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, it sounds like I'm cheating, but I promise I'm not. You're just gonna lose 5 life, trust me. But Then round 4, I played against my buddy who I lent Ponza to, and he stomped me. Like, game 1, it was just, they were on the play, and it was turn 2 land destruction. And that's really hard for a deck that doesn't do anything. Like, because Gardens is not proactive at all. Game 2, I ended up getting there, like, on the tip of my tippy toes. Because they kept a slower hand that didn't have land destruction, but it had, like, some of the cascade spells, which you can fight against. And they started, like, blowing up my lands when I already had, like 7 or 8 lands out. I'm like, okay, I'm already doing what I need to do. So I got there that game, and game 3, they had another fast land destruction start. So I'm like, okay, this is over. I don't need it. So yeah, they stopped me there. And of course, they got to give me some crap because I have a Pauper podcast. And he's like, oh, I never played Pauper, and I beat you. And I'm like, yeah. But fun times. Yeah. So they're better at me. So next week they'll be on here and I won't. So it was nice knowing you guys.
Well, it was nice co-hosting with you, Cameron.
Rest in peace.
No, but it was super cool to see some old friends play my favorite format, and just a really cool space they got. It's like a 2-story place. So it was a cool layout. And it's like a bunch of doors that lead to different places. It's a maze. It was fun. Saw some people playing Super Smash Brothers too, so I crushed a couple kids at that. But you guys also played an event?
Just crushing the locals. Yeah, we did play an event. I'll let James take most of the explanation and storytelling here. But we went down to Columbia, Tennessee to play this little win-a-box. Well, James was already planning on going, and then I had some change of plans, and I joined for the afternoon. I played a bad version of the burn deck just because I am addicted to Fire Blast. But it was fun. It was fine. I got the bye. It was 9 people, 4 rounds, no cut or anything. Just first place gets a box, and then packs after that. I got the bye, and then lost to the Boggles player, which is the only matchup I didn't want to face. And then lost to the Blue-Black Terror player in the room, and then beat up the other Burn player in the last round. So I had a middling day, but I was there for fun and to hang out with James more than anything else. So I had a good time. It was fun playing Pauper, and it's a good store. They got a new location and all that. But I'll let James explain the rest of the day. All right, take it away, James.
All right. So I also, like Cameron, chose to play some Gardens. I kind of wanted to just put myself on a deck that I'm also probably going to play for this Pauper Cup in Chicago. This is the likely suspect if I had to guess. Round 1, I played against someone who's playing basically a version of like Mono White Heroic. They were playing like some Sacred Cats and some Laguna Band Trailblazers and stuff of that nature. I played some removal spells on their dudes. They didn't really do a whole lot. Game 2, they did have a very gigantic Laguna Band Trailblazer. Mm-hmm. That even I think through two defiles still lived, I believe.
Yeah, he had 2 protection spells, so it was able to mess with you 2 times in a row.
What's a Laguna Trailblazer do?
What's Laguna Band Trailblazer? So it's a single white for an 0/4, and it just has heroic. So whenever you target it, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so just the heroic deck basically. But yeah, bunch of removal spells, beats a bunch of creatures. So that was an easy 2-0. Game 1 almost ended with me attacking with Crypt Rats for just lethal damage, attacking almost just single-handedly with the Crypt Rats, and that was it. Mm-hmm. It was very funny. And then I found an Avenging Hunter, and I'm like, oh, well, the game is just over now.
That seems to be a common story of Gardens eating up decks that just play creatures.
Yeah, that tracks. So round 2, I played against the Blue-Black Terror player in the room. We had a really, really long game 1, and there was a bunch of fighting back and forth between keeping creatures on the board, keeping the Monarch, keeping initiative, and stuff like that. Eventually, I was just like, I'm going to save some time. We're going to go to game 2. I'll concede this one. I think I can win a faster game than they can. So I did. Game 2 went pretty. I ended up did win game 2, but we did not have enough time for a game 3. I think we actually started game 3 in turns. We just it was just like play land, and then that was it. So we drew, and then I played against a version of Glitter's Affinity that had no synthesizers in it, but was playing another red card, and
Was it Galvanic Blast?
it was not Galvanic Blast. I don't believe.
I don't think I saw this red card then.
It may have been Galvanic Blast because there was no synthesizer. Because I was very concerned. I was like, "You're not playing synthesizer. That's very odd." I was like, "I think you should consider playing that card. I think it's very strong in this deck." But anyways, they were playing a version of Glitter's Affinity. Oh, I think it was. It had to have been Galvanic Blast. I can't think of anything else it would be. But anyways, game one, I played a bunch of removal spells on their dudes. They didn't have anything else. And I was crashing with like 2 creatures and into the game with like initiative plus Crypt Rats, I think. And then game 2 was actually probably one of the cooler games I got to play all day. This game was me on the draw. Opponent went turn 1, Darksteel Citadel, play a Gingerbread Attack. Turn 2, play a Razortide Bridge, and then attack with the Gingerbread again. On my turn, I snap off a Deglammer on the Razortide Bridge, and my opponent did not draw another colored source for probably the next 10 plus turns. So they just did not cast spells. I think for a solid 6 or 7 turns back and forth, we did go to discard. Like, I didn't have a 4th land to do anything. They didn't have a colored source to do anything. So we just kind of sat there staring at each other for a while, and then eventually I was just like, oh, here's an initiative creature, and then I win the game.
Oh, look at that!
Crazy! I know these initiative cards. They seem to be very good in this format. And then my last round, I played against elves. I think I mentioned before, that's my actual favorite Pauper deck. I actually learned about a card that I had never seen before in that deck. I don't remember exactly the name of the creature, but I do remember what it does. So it was a 1 and a green for a 1/1. It says when this creature dies, you can go tutor for an elf and put it in your hand.
Oh.
I don't remember what exactly the creature was, but I was like, that is really cool, especially against like my deck. It's like, that's incredibly cool. It didn't really matter. I think I Crypt Rats twice in game 1, and I had a Drown in Sorrow as backup, and I didn't even need it because I played a main deck Drown in Sorrow that day. And then game 2, I Crypt Rats twice again, I think, and then was holding 2 or 3 other removal spells and just land initiative, and they were dead in 2 turns. So yeah, pretty easy day for the most part from me. But I want to move back to this blue-black Terror matchup that I had. Again, there was a lot of jockeying for position in the game. This is definitely more of what you imagine like a Pauper game being, especially really grindy, 2 control decks battling against each other. So I think our topic today is, what does control look like in Pauper versus outside of the format? Cameron, would you like to give us some insight?
Yeah, so control. The goal of control is to get this, control the opponent's progression of the game. You want to stop.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know. You want to stop them from doing what they're doing, and you want your end goal. You want to have all the resources, and you want them to have very few cards in hand and very few threats on the board. And you do this through a means of removal and card advantage, typically. And control has looked very, very different from different decks, from different formats, but all kind of follow this small suite of creatures and be more reactive than proactive. Is that a good definition, you think?
I think so. I think in a general sense, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and when you think of control, in Modern or even Pioneer, you think of cards like Supreme Verdict, and at least I think of Teferi 5, the Teferi Hero of Dominaria. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Planeswalkers and board wipes do not exist in Pauper, so they don't have access to these at all.
Maybe not traditional board wipes.
Yeah,
there are some, and we can get into them, but certainly there are no just 4-mana sorcery, destroy all creatures, does not exist.
We got to get creative in here. And I think Gardens is
Correct.
definitely the most control-y deck in the format. That's the most typical control deck.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it hits all the axes basically that you had mentioned, it's like we don't have a Wrath. Cool. Well, we do have Crypt Rats. Like our Crypt Rats is our Wrath of God, basically.
Crypt Rats.
And then like we don't have, Teferi Hero Dominaria in Pauper. We have things like Avenging Hunter or Goliath
Same
Paladin as like kind of our Planeswalker kind of style cards. Like these gain advantages just from existing, basically.
More importantly, like the Monarch or the initiative, just like giving you value, repeatable value every turn of just like you would uptick or downtick a Planeswalker once a turn.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's Pauper's Planeswalker in a weird way. It just has the downside of like your opponent can gain control of your Planeswalker if they end up taking it. Like it always feels bad when you're behind. I guess just like in other formats too. Like if you're really behind, you don't want to draw Teferi 5, and just like you're really behind, you don't want to draw Thorn of the Black Rose against fairies, where they're just going to fly over you and take the Monarch, and you're never going to get it back.
Yeah, and then another thing is a lot of these like more quote powerful formats. You have a lot of like good ways to just like draw, like have lots of draw cards attached in these control decks. Like even some of these like modern or pioneer modern decks play a bunch, plays things like draw threes off of like like a hell they could pay or 5 mana for a draw 3, and they're okay with that. They're totally fine, spending a bunch of mana on like an instep, being able to hold up interaction in the interim to just gain those 3 cards back anyways. And for I think on the Pauper side, I think things like we don't have a ton of like raw card draw like that necessarily, because there's not any, but none of the blue cantrips besides Brainstorm put you up a card. And the only cards that I can think of are a bunch of all like the draw 2s, like things like Reckless Impulse and Deadly Dispute and Reckoner's Bargain, Fanatical Offering and things like that.
Yeah, the black ones especially.
Yeah, all the black ones that make you sack like your choice of a thing are tend to be really, really good in that fashion.
And we do have stuff that technically is a draw 3. Like Lorien Revealed is, if shifting focus a little bit more onto the blue side of the control decks. We do have things like Lorien Revealed where it's kind of flexible, where either it's 1 mana draw an island or 5 mana draw 3 cards, but that's a sorcery speed. You can't do this like plate, like if anyone listening remembers 2012 2013 standard of the Sphinx's Revelation, at the end of your opponent's turn, draw 6 cards, gain 6 life or whatever. Like we don't really have any direct allegory to that sort of advantage.
We have Reckoner's Bargain.
Yeah.
Which a gain 5 draw 2 if you sack like things like an Avenging Hunter. Nothing to scoff at.
No, I saw you do that.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did that. I was like, I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna sack this gain 5. It's totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Or gain 2, draw 3 even with those cards are really good too, because you pair a lot of those with Ichor Wellspring, which enters, draws a card, and when it leaves, you draw a card. So that's one of the favorite sack targets for these black draw spells. So it's like Pauper decks are really creative, and they're really backwards into like these card advantages. I think that's part of like the charm of Pauper. It's like super cool. It's like if you're sitting there, if you're dinking around in Modern or Pioneer, I'm like, I'm gonna sack my trinket artifacts to draw an extra card. They're like, cool, I'm gonna kill you. The game's over.
Right. But here it's like our friend Carson calls it whenever he deadly disputes a Ichor Wellspring. He's like Ancestral Recall. Yeah, it's just every time, and it's like, well, it's kind of that, because you get the treasure back and the Wellspring draws you an extra card. So
it's like 4 mana spread across 2 turns. Yeah,
yeah, but in the moment it's Ancestral Recall. But like you said at the beginning, Cameron, we have to get creative. We have to kind of build our own engines and things like that. Yeah.
And I think these Ephemerate decks are really close, especially the Jeskai Ephemerate deck is something that's really close to a control deck in Pauper too. And instead of playing big card advantage spells, there's also cards like Behold the Multiverse that I want to touch on real quick too, that like Terror plays sometimes. It's usually like a one-of though, if that. But I get off topic really easy. Jeskai Ephemerate, it'll use Ephemerate as a draw spell with like these Mold Drifters, so it becomes, instead of a 5 mana draw 4, it's almost a 4 mana draw 4. What they use this for, but it's in 2 cards instead of 1. That whole Pauper has to get creative thing.
I was like, and if the Mold Drifter sticks around and the as does the Ephemerate, that's a 4 mana draw 6.
That's just greedy. Who needs 6 cards? Me.
The control deck.
Yeah,
I was like, I certainly like drawing 6 cards. I don't know about anybody else.
I'm in.
And I think but you need the 6 cards too, because we don't have the traditional Supreme Verdicts or Wrath of Gods. So if I'm going to spend a bunch of mana, and if I'm going to 1-for-1 you 4 times, I better make up for it in card advantage. Like, I need to have this draw power. Because I guess, should we touch on what our board wipes in this format are too? Because we keep saying we don't have Wrath of Gods technically, but we do have some Wrath effects. And huge, ginormous air quotes. You touched on Crypt Rats. You want to read Crypt Rats out for us? I think we've talked about it, but
yeah, Crypt Rats is 2 and a black for a 1/1, and it says you may spend X, but to spend X you may only use black mana to pay for it, and it deals X to each creature and each player.
Crypt Rats has my heart, man. I love this card so much.
Yeah, this card's really, really cool. I have become even more of a fan of this card. The more and more I get to play this card in this deck, it is like one of my favorite cards to see like across a game. Like this card just cracks a game wide open. It's a really, really cool card. It's a very unique
definitely
effect in this format too.
Oh, very. It's definitely. It feels like a Wrath because it's either like, depending on the matchup, you're like, wow, this card is, I need this in my opening hand, or it's like, wow, I'm sliding all of these out of my deck. Just like a Wrath would in other formats. Like it's either really good or really bad.
Correct. Yeah, so some other Wrath effects we have. I think the newest one, and tends to be the one favored in the black decks at least, is Drown in Sorrow. I think I've mentioned before. It's 1 black for a sorcery. It's all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, and you get to scry 1.
And for just 1 more mana, there's Arms of Hadar, which is 3 and a black sorcery, and its creatures target player controls get -2/-2. So it's a one-sided for that. But that's becoming. You'll see it in sideboards every once in a while, but it's becoming less and less for sure.
It tends to you tend to see that more in the like Caw Gates or like the Terror / Fairies deck, or more the Fairies decks. So you can keep your board up and then just go ahead and Wrath on your opponent's side.
I think that Arms of Hadar in that way is more of a tempo, like a mid-range tempo piece in terms of a board wipe, as opposed to a controlling card, where Drown in Sorrow is best in these decks that like, sure, -2/-2 to everything, because I'm not going to have a ton of stuff in play. I'm going to wipe all of your stuff. Like that's kind of the general ethos of the control deck. So I think Arms of Hadar is definitely where like you're playing a deck where you want to keep your stuff alive.
Correct.
Where you're blowing up everyone else's stuff.
You're throwing out the T word, I see.
The T word?
Tempo.
Oh yeah, well, you know, a word for a topic for another episode, I'm sure. Correct.
What is tempo?
We don't have time to get into
I think
it.
that is a whole different conversation.
One of my other favorite board wipes too is Cart Clan Shaman. So for just 1 red, it's like Crypt Rats, but for artifacts. For 1 red, you get a Goblin Shaman who's a 1/1. And you can sacrifice an artifact and deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. So what you do is you don't just activate it once. It's not sorcery speed, so you activate it, and with the trigger on the stack, you activate it as many times as you want, sacking whatever artifacts you have or you need to. So like if you have I already forget its name. If you have a Cart Clan Shaman, you can sack 2 Ichor Wellsprings, 1 of your lands, and a blood token. You can deal 4 to everything except for the flying creatures, but it also gets rid of itself, similar to Crypt Rats.
Cool. So that's kind of the general like board wipe kind of board wipe discussion. There's which I think is primarily in the black decks. Either it'll be in Gardens, it'll be in the blue-black terror lists. James has his hand wide up in the air.
I think there are 2 that are also played a lot in the format that I think deserve a little bit of attention.
Sure, go
both
for
of
it.
in the red, and it's also in red. But we have these are 2. I think these are 2 big ones. We both have Breath Weapon, which is 2 in a red, instant speed, deal 2 damage to each non-dragon creature, and the other one is
Fiery
Cannonade. Fiery Cannonade. Yeah, the other card is Fiery Cannonade, and it is 2 in a red, instant, and then you deal 2 damage to each non-pirate creature, and that becomes relevant because there are pirates in the format that actually gain you the Monarch, and then you also have a card, the Boarding Party card as well.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this Fiery Cannonade when we get to the challenge results this weekend. Oh boy, are we gonna talk about it?
So we kind of talked about how these decks are gaining card advantage, they're board wipes per se, and I guess I could touch on real quick. They play removal too, no surprisingly. We have Cast Down the format, which is 1 black, destroy target non-legendary creature, which in Pauper there are no playable legendaries. So unless your opponent is playing the Ring Tempts You cards, it's destroy any creature. And then you fill in the blank for whatever removal spells you want. Defile, Snuff Out, there's a ton. But they need to win the game too. So what are some of the finishers in our favorite format? We've hinted at one, I guess.
Hold on one second. Finishers in what?
Okay, I'll set you up for initiative.
There's the two. I think basically any of the like control decks basically need to either have an engine that kills you, something like the Jeskai Ephemerate deck having like a loop of Archaeomancer and Ephemerate to end the game, and I think in the case of like some of these like terror decks, and then the more controlling versions of terror, you have either something like Thorn of the Black Rose and the like blue-black terror decks, or you have something on the red side or the red-blue side. You have the pirates that gain you the Monarch to help really like slam the door closed on top of having your terrors. But say for the example, the Gardens deck, you do have both the Initiative and the Avenging Hunter and Thorn of the Black Rose as your Monarch creature.
I think these Initiative and Monarch cards are like really crazy because it both acts as a way to close, like you said, close a door shut. You're starting the clock, but you're also going to start burying them in card advantage too. Especially if they don't take that back, it really like changes like the game dynamic of like you better start doing something, otherwise I'm going to run away with this game.
It definitely puts a pressure on the format having cards like that around, and it probably seems that like. If you look at a lot of these like challenge results and stuff like that, it definitely shows that these Initiative and Monarch creatures have kind of taken away with the format.
They're real good.
They're really strong.
That's funny. At my locals, I was playing against someone. I played Avenging Hunter, and someone sitting across the table, I'm like, isn't all the Initiative creatures banned? And I'm like, you think they would, but nope. 2 got left behind. But I don't know. I don't know if I would understand if they went away one day, but at the same time, I'm going to play them while I still can play them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bit the dust one day. But it's not like they're running away with the format at all. Like, you barely see the white one much anymore.
Yeah, I think it just sees play in like either basically in Ephemerate shells is the only way that card's going to be reasonable to play.
And you mentioned Terror as well. That's another Control-y-S deck, and its threats that finish the game are Terror, Tellurian Terror, and it's also picking up this Murmuring Mystic card, which has been really good for a deck that wants to control the board.
I would like to touch on that card for 1 second and say that card was the linchpin of me not being able to close game 1 of my match against Terror. When I played this past weekend, it just making a singular flying token was all it took for me, just for the chains to unravel and all hell to break loose. Basically,
it just shuts off your Tithing Blades.
Yeah,
it's the best Tithing Blade protection that deck has, and it's really really strong in that way.
It blanks your Initiative and Monarch too, which is really bad. If you have like 2/1/1s or anything, it's like it becomes really really hard to justify playing one of those creatures, and rightfully so. Like I said earlier. Like these fairy decks and I guess Murmuring Mystic decks too now, like if they're ahead on board and you can't play an Initiative or Monarch creature because you're just giving it to them for free essentially.
And it's also an important way for these blue-based decks to be able to turn the corner really quickly, because if you're just making a bunch of flying tokens, just a bunch of birds, you just start chipping in. And you can hold up all your mana and have counter spells, which is another angle of attack or reaction from the control decks that we haven't really touched on yet. specifically from these terror decks, and to some extent from the fairies decks, though that might be diving into the tempo discussion. But being able to just have a mystic, chip in with a couple birds, and then just pass and just hold up your brainstorms, your mental notes, your counter spells, your spell pierces, like all of this interaction and further card draw, and you can just turn it into value on the board with these bird tokens from Murmuring Mystic. It's a really, really strong card, a really good include. Like it worked. It did overtime for me last weekend at our monthly. It's been really, really strong.
Yeah, and there's also, I think, a lot of these like in-game threats that these control decks are playing, they're basically being played as proactive cards. Like you almost can play almost none of them as defensive cards. Like they're not meant to be defensive cards. The cards like Avenging Hunter and Tolarian Terror, those are meant to be aggressive cards. The way they're designed and the way that they play in the format definitely just lean themselves into being proactive more than reactive.
And I think it's important to touch on how, like, I would say the three biggest control decks in the format are Gardens, Dimir Terror, and Jeskai Ephemerate for the most part. And they all have a very different game plan. Like, from the Gardens perspective, you just really want to kill their stuff and gain card advantage through these 2-mana black draw 2 spells. And once you stabilize the board, once you have a Garden or 2 to block with, you can slam the Monarch or slam the Initiative, and that's how you're going to close the door. Once it's safe and you know I'm not going to be contested too much back, I can kill their creature that's going to swing back and try to take the initiative. But on the Terror side, they can be more aggressive. Like when you played,
Yes.
when you played Terror at our locals this month, Gun, were there games where you're like, you felt like you were the beatdown from the start, even? Or
There
no?
were not. I never approached it directly from the start. I mean, the mono blue version is a little different because they're also leaning on Delver, and I realized about halfway through the tournament, I was like, oh, I'm a Delver deck. And then I'm a Terror deck. Like, it was my first time, like I said last week, it was my first time casting Delver of Secrets and Brainstorm. And wow, that's a drug. And it was incredible. And so, like, the games where you're setting that up, it was more just focus on beat them down with Delver. And then by the time they've exhausted their resources trying to deal with Delver and like interacting with your interaction, then you get to slam Terror and just close the door. But there were a couple games where getting like turboing out the multiple like a Cryptic Serpent and a Tolarian Terror like on turn 3 or turn 4 as quickly as possible, and maybe even with like a Spell Pierce backup or something, was huge game. And then I was able to just start beating down because my guys are bigger than anything that my opponent's going to be able to put in the board that early. So it's definitely the Pauper format definitely lends itself to decks that can they're not fitting into this traditional control role like we were saying earlier of just like counter all your stuff, wipe your whole board, develop a planeswalker threat, and you run away with the game. You're making in Pauper, you're making sure you can deal with the first wave of threats and then get something in play that is proactive, like James was saying. Like the initiative creatures or monarch creatures or terrors are proactive threats. You get them down, and then you continue to defend that game plan with the rest of your control elements. You dig for more answers, dig for more threats, et cetera, et cetera.
It definitely differs from, like, I remember playing a control deck in Standard with Teferi 5, and it played 0 creatures, so you wanted to lock down the board, you want to control the board, and you're like, I'll figure out a way to win later. In Pauper, you can't do that. Like, Pauper really has to be like, eventually you got to turn the corner and start attacking. Like, there are a lot of games. Yeah, a lot of games of Gardens, you do feel like, okay, I'll win the game eventually, but like you do have to finish the game. I feel like the Jeskai Ephemerate deck is probably the only control deck in Pauper that can really not worry about winning, I guess, in quotes. Like it'll win, it has to win, but it can set up that counterspell, Archaeomancer, Ephemerate loop, and then you can really just do whatever you want, swing with a 1/1 for 20 turns if you really please.
Yeah, there are different ways to approach how you want to control games in Pauper. You can also approach the game by not putting a single creature in your deck at all. If you really wanted to, you can control your life total with fogs and weather the storms.
No, that's not a control deck. That's a combo deck. You cannot change my mind.
I don't know. You might be able to convince us this control deck. I'm getting the sense that this is also a bit of a segue moment, though.
Sure is.
Are there any other points we want to touch on with control in like a general sense? I'm definitely game to like dive into like some more specifics about gardens or terror in like a future episode down the line.
I think
for sure.
I think
because there's a
we
lot
hammered
here.
it pretty well. We're not going to do 3 dive downs on the 3 decks, but I think we did a really good job. I can't believe. I feel like we didn't talk about counterspell too much, but you did a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and maybe that's something we can delve into, like the terror deck specifically, and talk about all right, where is counterspell's actual place in the metagame, and when do you want it and why? I think we can get into that down the line for sure.
No, this was a good broad control discussion.
James, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
You just want to talk about this challenge result.
I sure do.
Alrighty, shall we then? Are you ready for challenges, Cameron?
Oh, I was born ready.
All right. Pauper Challenge from Saturday, January 20th. In 8th place, Casa with Grixis Affinity. In 7th place, another MTGO GOAT, Danielakos on Dimir Control. In 6th place, Wizard _2002 on Burn. In 5th place, Lord Egg on Boros Synthesizer. In 4th place, a deck I'm very excited to talk about, _Shatan_ on Mono Red Tron. In 3rd place, Make It Right with Burn. In 2nd place, Purgatory 01 on Dimir Control. And in 1st place, Abijhavs on Dimir Control as well. I'm going to take a quick look at this 1st place list. Make sure we honor our champion here. Looks like they had an undefeated 9-0 run through the entire tournament. Congratulations. This
awesome.
looks like a pretty stock blue-black list. They've got Augur Bolus, 2 Mystic in the main, 2 Thorn in the Black Rose, 4 Terrors. They do have an Arms of Hadar in the sideboard, like we were talking about. Is there anything else in here? No, it looks pretty stock.
I know when I was trying to pick a deck for the local or the tournament that Gunn and I played, this was definitely on my list of things to play. I asked them both. I'm like, I think I'm looking at one of these 2 decks. Which one should I play? And both of them just said Gardens. So I was like, all right, I'll just play Gardens then.
Yeah,
but I definitely gave serious thought to saying to heck with their opinion and just playing this anyways, because it looks really fun to play. I have not gotten to play any of these like terror decks in quite some time, so this looked kind of fun for me.
Did you get the box then?
No. So actually, I got second on Breakers because there were 2 301s. I was not the only person who drew with the terror player. The blue black fairies player also drew with the terror player.
Yeah, but they started 3-0, so they were in 1st place at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it was big.
So
sad.
it was
so I got
first
second
on
on
Breakers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, y'all should have played that out.
I was kind of hoping
we
that first and second could, but
we were not allowed to play it out. It was just 4 rounds of Swiss. That was the end of it. Otherwise, we would have been there for multiple more hours.
Yeah, but you probably would have won.
I
you're
likely
cracked.
would have won. Yes, I agree. I think Dimir Fairies is just, I would eat it for breakfast probably.
I would agree. Okay, I want to talk about this Tron deck. Holy crap!
I want to talk about this control deck.
This deck is really, really sweet.
I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was a meme. And then turns out it's not a meme. In fourth place, this is a work of art. They're only playing 10 total Tron lands, which is interesting.
So
only 3 mines and 3 power plants.
So I would like, if anybody who wants like a better or more in-depth talk about this deck, there is a video from another Pauper content creator. Goes by Calicais on YouTube and on Twitter, I believe. He also has played a league with this deck, and he goes over exactly why There are 10 Tron lands. This deck is to be viewed as a mid-range deck. This is not like a traditional Tron deck in the slightest. It is the Tron lands are meant for mid-range value.
Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're looking at, we got 16 creatures. We got 4 Crimson Fleet Commodore, which is the 4-mana 5/2 Monarch Pirate. We have 4 Self-Assemblers, which is an artifact 5-mana 4/4. Then when it enters the battlefield, you can go search for another one, essentially. It's got 4 Boarding Parties, which is the 6-mana 6/3 Haste Cascade, and 4 Oliphants, so that you can find your mountains. And also, it's just like a big threat once you've got a ton of Tron mana. We've got 2 Firebolts, because flashing that back is probably pretty easy when you have Tron. 4 Lightning Bolts, 3 Rolling Thunders to just kill your opponent out of nowhere sometimes. 4 Volcanic Spite, which is the updated Fire Prophecy effect, so it can also hit battles, but it's just 3 damage to a creature. In this format, essentially, it's 3 damage to a creature, but then you can put a card on the bottom of your library and draw a new one. And then the Fiery Cannonades, which we had mentioned earlier. Notably, dealing 2 damage to each non-pirate, that means that the Crimson Fleet Commodore is safe from this board wipe. And then we have some artifacts. We got 2 copies of our favorite Lembas. Lembas did work for you, James.
Yes, it did.
Goodness.
That card was insanely good for me.
Lembas has been such a great upgrade to a lot of grindy strategies. But we also have the 4 Expedition Maps, because it's a Tron deck. And 4 Candy Trails from Wilds of Eldraine, which is the Scry 2 1-mana food clue. And you can pay 2, sack it, gain 3 life, and draw a card, which notably you can do all of that with 3 mana if you have a tower that's active. And we got 18 lands total, 10 Tron lands, 1 cycling land, 7 mountains, sideboard full of the usual red sideboard cards you would expect. This list looks super sweet and is a top contender for my choice at our monthlies next month. Oh my goodness.
I would like to point out one card in this particular sideboard. They've chosen 3 copies of Pyrite Spellbomb. I do like that they chose Pyrite Spellbomb. I know that there's a number of Crimson Acolytes running around, and this card is a great way to deal with that.
That is an excellent point.
And also, it's a cantrip if you want it to be. If you don't need it to deal 2 damage, you can just cantrip with it.
Yeah.
When I saw this deck, that was my first. I didn't even notice the Tron. There was only 10 Tron lands. I just kind of skipped the mana base. I saw the names. I'm just gonna skip the mana base real quick. But what I thought was really interesting too is my first impressions, especially with the 4 maps. I'm like, okay, there's only really 4 ways to search for the Tron lands themselves. So I'm sure you just want to play to the board, bolt your creatures, Fiery Cannonade the board away. Then eventually, you'll stick something. You'll figure it out. You'll get some mana hopefully, and you'll slam something very impactful.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this was a Tron is the backup plan for this deck, which is super sweet. I love the idea of this deck. It's a very, very cool innovation for this format.
So we have the cycle 1 lands, right?
We do.
Correct. The reason you would play this one is because you're playing Tron lands in your deck, and it cycles for one Tron land.
That makes sense, I guess. I suppose, but you're a mid-range deck first, not a Tron deck.
You also have more Tron lands than you do mountains.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Right.
You're right.
Any other decks y'all want to talk about from the Saturday challenge?
Yeah, I was really happy to see Boros Synth back in action again. From the summer Pauper again. I know Manguchi played this deck and it got a lot of attention after because it did really good there, and it's kind of fallen to the Wade side a little bit, but I really, really like this deck. It looks like the stock synth deck, so I guess nothing too crazy to say, but I was just happy to see Boros Synthesizer back in action.
Hell yeah. You love to see it.
Yeah, the deck is really, really sweet. I also really like the deck. Cameron and I tend to have similar deck choices in this format.
Yeah, we do. I know. We're on the same page when it comes to Pauper, except for Turbo Fog. We're not on the same page.
Except for the next challenge.
Speaking of Turbo Fog,
wait,
our
one second.
top 8.
No!
Go for it.
Can I do one more? If I'm allowed.
Yeah, go for
please. Yeah. Okay.
This is also your podcast. Of course you're allowed.
I want to talk about this Dimir Control deck that came in second place that lost in the finals to Dimir Control. It was just Terrorless terror.
Ooh, 3 mystics.
It played
no
no
terrors.
terrors. Yeah, it was terrorless terror. It is Dimir control. It played 3 murmuring mystics as its like way to close the game, and it plays 4 dark rituals. I think to power out the Thorn of the Black
I just
Rose or
saw
murmuring
that.
mystic. So I think it wants to play a quick thorn.
4 thorns and 4 dark rituals.
Yeah, I think it really wants to power out a quick thorn or a quick murmuring mystic.
Is it time
looks
for me
like
to
a
buy
terror
Dark
deck.
Ritual? Is it time?
Yeah, do you not own Dark Ritual?
I want
don't
to play a
either.
Dark Ritual deck too. Dark Ritual's busted.
Yeah, it's a card that
I don't-
doesn't
you
see a
don't-
lot of love in this format. It
It really doesn't, except for when it crosses the line way too much. Every once
it's
in a
in some
while.
degenerate combo deck. Yeah, it's in some very degenerate combo deck that does nothing healthy in the format, that has a very hard time interacting with it, or it does the thing, and then it just gets blown out by like one singular piece of hate from something, and then it just like
Do you remember
falls
that-
apart immediately.
Do you remember the fun combo deck of Dark Ritual, Land, Lotus Petal, Initiative? The best
I
combo.
heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It also plays Kumbaj Witches in the sideboard, which is kind of cool.
Like an old school classic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're dipping into old mono black devotion here.
Yeah, we are. So it just looks like a
this is a
terror
really
deck
sweet list.
without terrors. Now we can move away. I just want to
yeah.
give
It's
that list
also-
a shout out. It was cool.
Also, I think this. So one more thing on that list. I think this is probably one of the better Augur of Bolus decks, if I had to guess.
Oh, for
This
sure.
has got to be one of the better Augur of Bolus
Well,
decks.
it just has more hits.
Yeah, it's like you get more hits, which makes that card way better because that card loves to fail.
Oh yeah. 2 mana 1/3. Put the top 3 cards of your library on the bottom of your deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get to know them
Classic.
too, though. That's free information.
Oh, okay.
I love knowing the bottom 3 cards of my library. Comes up a lot.
Yeah.
All right, and moving on to the Sunday challenge.
Alrighty. Sunday, January 21st, Pauper Challenge. I'm going to give a little honorable mention to our 9th place finishing deck, Golgari Gardens, our beloved. That is the top finish of Gardens over the weekend. A little fall from grace. Seems like it's a little bit on the down tick, at least online, it seems.
I have an idea of why that might be.
I assume you'll get to it after we read these
Indeed,
results.
indeed I will.
Excellent. Also, quick shout out in 10th place. O Danielakis has another good finish with Dimir Control here in 10th place. So congrats to them. In 8th place, APS on Burn. This is Koldatha Burn. In 7th place, a regular in our top 8s. I'm so sorry that I butcher your name. I'm so sorry. Beicho Digea on Dimir Fairies. In 6th place, Out 0-0 on Jeskai Affinity. I believe this is a Glitters list. In 5th place, Make It Right, which is a repeat top 8 from this weekend. They finished 3rd with Burn on Saturday, and on Sunday, they finished 5th with Dimir Fairies. In 4th place, Luffy de Chapeau de Pala on Grixis Affinity. In 3rd place, Mogged is back, still on Dimir Control. In 2nd place, Saza on White Black. This looks to be like a Glint Hawk, Deadly Dispute, Tithing Blade sort of deck, which I'm sure we can talk about. And in 1st place, for I cede the floor to James, a Ritual Sinkhole on good old Turbo Fog. Take it away, James.
All right, Turbo Fog coming in hot. This is actually a lot of players. This challenge.
It's 10 rounds total, including
this
top 8.
is 70 players in the challenge this weekend. It's pretty sweet.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah, I think if you really want to beat a deck with a bunch of removal spells, I have a great deck for you.
Play one generous.
Play one.
The creatures.
You don't even have to play that one. I bet you could forgo that one. But yeah, you get to play a deck with basically no creatures in your entire 75 for the most part. And then yeah, you just play. You just get to like card draw into Oblivion and then find a Thought Stream and then kill your opponent. It's great. Also, cool things you can do, assuming you're playing against a bunch of like counter spells over your Pauper challenge, you can have a really cool thing where you get the initial Stream of Thought countered, and then with your copies on your replicate copies on the stack, you actually get to put the Stream of Thought back into your deck that got countered. It's really sweet.
Oh, that's sick.
It's a nice little loop. You can also loop back in your counter or your draw spells. Then you draw your Stream of Thoughts again, and then you can do the whole thing over again. And then eventually, once you built up enough mana, you can just start targeting your opponent. It's great.
That's really cool because it doesn't target. It's up to, so you can even counter your own Stream of Thought too. That's really cool.
Indeed, you can. You can actually, really a cool line that this deck does like to take is you get to Arcane. Actually, does it even play? It does play Arcane Denial still. Cool. So you get to Arcane Denial, your own Stream of Thought. That's what puts it in the yard, and that's what lets the replicate copies actually put the Stream of Thought itself back into the deck. This was the deck that like actually put me back into playing Pauper after a nice lengthy break. I remember this was the first time I got to play Pauper at our local store after a long time, and I had an absolute blast playing this deck. I was the talk of the room.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was terrified to sit across from me because they thought they were going to have a miserable time, and they probably did. But I personally had a blast. I love this deck so much.
Everybody was scared to draw.
This looks really clean.
Yeah, everybody was scared of going really long with me because this deck does have a very difficult time of actually winning the game.
This list looks really clean. It's got I've seen some of these lists that are just like one tangle, I guess, maybe if like no, 2 tangle, 4 moments peace, 4 accumulated knowledge, 4 arcane denial, 4 growth spiral, 4 weather the storm, 4 Lorien revealed, and then just like all the other support pieces mixed in between. Like this list looks really sick. This might also be on my to-do list for next month too.
There is a card that is played in this deck, and I guess because you draw so many cards, it's totally fine to have a single copy of it. But there's a single copy of Bajuka Bog in the deck that you would tend to find, I guess, in a lot of the like either like Tron decks. You would find like a single copy of Bajuka Bog because you have a crop rotation for it. Or you can have in the Gardens deck where you just draw, your Infinity draw 2s. You can eventually find this copy or the copy of Bajuka Bog. Same thing here. You're gonna draw a ton of cards with your accumulated knowledges and preordains and the like. So yeah, you're just gonna eventually draw your one copy that you need against. I assume probably just Terror is my guess. Yeah, no, this is super sweet. Some cool sideboard options that they've gone with. They've gone with an extra copy of Desert in the board. Sweet there. So, but if your X1s are your jam to kill, that's a good way to do that. And then
a second Bajuka Bog.
Yeah, second Bajuka Bog as well. They also play a single copy of Marine Mystic in their board and a single copy of the Azure Fleet Admiral as backup win conditions in case that they are playing in some of these more controlling decks and they can just slam a Monarch creature or slam this Mystic and then just cast a bunch of nonsense spells around the Mystic, and you'll flood your opponent and they'll die because they have no removal spells left in their deck because you're a fog deck.
Mm-hmm. Is there any specific reason why the basics are snow covered? I couldn't find one.
I would assume that is an aesthetic choice if I had to guess. You can fake that you are on turn 1 if you play snow covered island that you are playing Scred. That is about the best I can give you. Is my assumption.
All right. Cameron, do you want to give us a rundown on this white blacklist in second place at all?
Dude, you read my mind. I was dying to put a word in about this deck.
Hell yeah, go for it.
Yeah, this deck looks really cool. It reminds me of Gardens and Synth, but without Gardens and without Synthesizer. Spill that. I mean,
I love it. No, that's pretty accurate, though.
It does exactly what this looks like.
So, like, you have the black cards from Gardens. So you play Snuff Outs, you play a Cast Down, you play Deadly Dispute for card advantage. But you also, from like the Synthesizer decks, I should mention from the black decks, you get Tithing Blade, which is really important. So from the Synthesizer decks, the white part of the deck, you get your Glint Hawks and what's that card called? Core Skyfisher.
Core Skyfisher.
Oh,
good job.
Man, that card is.
Proud of
I'm gonna
you.
get that.
Little tongue twister.
No, you got it. You got it first try.
I'm gonna tattoo that card on my hand so I can never mess up the name of it or forget it.
Please don't do that.
Where can I sign up to fund this?
Yeah, I can do it myself. You're good. No, I'm kidding. So you want to set up you want to play your Tithing Blades to hit your opponent's creatures, and then you can bounce them back with your Glint Hawks or the Sky Fisher. But you have other options in Limbus and Candy Trail. And of course, you have the Monarch creature, Thorn of the Black Rose. So this deck looks really cool. You also play 4 Hopeless Nightmare, which is that 1 black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. And then you can pay 3, sacrifice it, and scry 2. So that's really cool. If you play that, pick it up with Glenhawk, and make them discard 2 cards, that can be really backbreaking. But I see how Turbofog won, because this does not look fun to play against Turbofog with. You can try to be aggressive. Like, I can see it taking a game if Turbofog, like, stutters a little bit, but you're blanking so many cards in their main deck. Like, their Tithing Blades don't do anything. Like, Hopeless Nightmare is really annoying if you keep getting Hopeless Nightmare.
That's what I was thinking. If you can blink the Hopeless Nightmare a bunch, then you might have a shot, and you can run them out of resources and then start to chip in. But
also remember the other.
It's just half your deck is useless.
They are Weather
the Storm deck. So good luck with your Hopeless Nightmares. Yeah, I think their plan here to win is post board, where they have access to Relic and Duress as their biggest comeback against the Fog deck.
I was more thinking about it of just run them out of cards rather than losing the life. Just like blinking and just like trying to get their hand down to
So my thinking here is I'm thinking on the Turbo Fog side. I think if you actually if you are able to Duress plus get rid of like Relic away my copy of Stream of Thought, I can't actually win the game anymore.
Okay.
So there's that. Again, you play 2 copies of Stream of Thought for that purpose, but there is a chance that you can tag both of them, and that's just how you win the game, is they don't have a win condition, and then you eventually will kill them with a pile of 2 power creatures.
And we had 2 affinity decks in the top 8 as well. We have our Grixis list and our Jeskai affinity list as well. It's just weird to see that these Grixis lists are all kind of like, it seems like nobody's playing Frogbite anymore in these. I think last challenge, whatever this week's challenge was too, they weren't playing Frogmite in the other challenge as well. So it's just really weird to see affinity drop Frogmite to me.
I know I mentioned to Gunn on our ride down to the event yesterday. I did secretly say, I was like, I think Grixis Affinity might be the best affinity deck currently in the metagame. It does tend to place higher in these challenges on its own.
It's true.
Yeah, it's been doing it.
That has been the case for the last few weeks, I believe. So I think it might be its time to shine. I think that might have a little bit to do with how good Quark Clan Shaman is, if I had to take a guess.
Good card is a house. Yeah, and it's just weird. It's just a little different configuration too, but I'm used to seeing for like the Grixis list. Like you're seeing like the Sunbird Hoverguard, seeing, like I said, no Frogmites, which is super strange. I guess it only played 1 makeshift munition before, but it's still there. And the Glitters Affinity deck, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, Grixis Affinity is not an aggressive deck. There's no do not get it confused. This is not an aggressive deck. It is meant to control the game and beat you down with like 2 creatures, like 2 Mirror Enforcers, or like a Mirror Enforcer plus like a Kenku Artificer up a land or something like that. Like it's trying to just like have this very, very mid-rangey game.
No Galv Blast either, which is really strange. Like, but I guess it's just taking away that aggressive kill you part in favor.
Yeah, everything is tending to coming down to like a bunch of these draw. Yeah, everything's coming down to a bunch of these like draw 2s. Like the format is just like you should be playing some number of draw 2s basically in your deck.
Only 1 Thoughtcast too, but it does play 8 of these black draw 2 effects, which makes sense.
I think they're just positioning themselves as the more controlling version of the affinity decks. And I think that especially in a world over the last couple weeks when Glitters was just like the hotness, I think that these Grixis players are getting rewarded for these choices, being able to kind of farm that matchup a little bit. And I mean, maybe it's probably not as easy as farming, but
you think they would like catch some strays for people preparing for Glitters too?
Yeah, I think the cool part about this one is they can also, play that longer game. That's like where the Glitters deck just has that like no controlling elements to the deck. It is an aggressive deck. Like it doesn't have a fallback plan.
Yeah,
like
they're just gonna get you dead.
Yeah, it's gonna get you. This deck can have a fallback plan of like being able to blood fountain, so like the game goes just incredibly long. Playing 4 copies of blood, like this list is playing like 4 copies of blood fountain. Like that card is truly designed for the game to go long, right? I mean, you're trading off your creatures for their creatures, and then you eventually get them back, or you trade off your creatures for their removal spells because you've assumedly paid like 0 mana for your Mirror Enforcer, and it got 2 mana removal spell. You're up in that exchange, right?
Exactly.
And then you get to recur it back with these like blood fountains, so you're just like going way longer and have much more flexibility available to you, I think, by playing Grixis right now.
That makes sense. You can recover from the dust to dust a little more.
Also, I think by also playing a lot slower version of the deck, this list plays 3 copies of Cast into the Fire and 3 copies of Gorilla Shaman. They are not playing around blowing up the other Affinity Deck's lands.
Oh no, they're ready. They're ready for the mirror.
That's true. Anything else really stand out to you guys in this challenge at all?
No, Pauper continues to be diverse. We're having, a lot of different decks in that first place slot. Seems like Dimir Control is on the rise. And nice to see Turbo Fog get another little spot in the spotlight. I think it won a challenge like a couple of weeks ago that we talked about, but nice to see it.
It top 8'd on Saturday, and I think it won on a Sunday a few weeks ago.
Sick.
Yeah, I love that deck. I might sleeve that one up this next month. We'll see.
And Pauper's really a brewer's format too, because like we just saw Mono Red Tron in top 8 too, and that deck looks awesome. So you can really if you have a good understanding of the format, you know what's good, you know what's important. You can brew something, you can show up and do really well.
Yeah, if you also have like a distinct idea of what you're gonna see in like, assuming that you're playing like in a paper meta game like we tend to, in our monthlies, we have a good idea about what people are going to be playing because, one, we just know most of the people that are playing, and so we can build our decks accordingly or play our decks accordingly, and I think you can do the same here. You can brew accordingly. We do have some people in the room that do like to brew up their own decks, and
it's true, and
tend to do fairly well with them. So yeah, I think this is a good format for those who like to innovate and try some things different, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just used to know Thomas was always playing red, so I'm like, okay, what am I going to play to beat red? But now he's playing something different every month now that we started the podcast, so there goes that plan of just always beating mono red.
Well, it'll be red, but might have a few more colorless lands.
Oh, dude, please, that'd be sick. I want you to. One of us needs to play this list. This looks sick.
Yeah, deck looks very sweet.
Cool.
I think I'm gonna be playing Orzhov Tithing Blade. Our next local.
Go for it.
I might have to bust out the Moments piece again.
Yes,
it might be time.
Please do.
It might be time.
Please.
No. I'll beat up on these removal spell decks so hard.
All right, is that a wrap? Any closing thoughts at all? You ready for a sick outro?
I think we're ready to go. Come play the Pauper Cup in Chicago in February.
Oh,
once again, I know for sure Cameron and I will be playing in it.
I got my ticket. I'm signed up for the event already.
Yeah, let's go.
I got a hotel.
Cool, sick. I need to do the same thing.
Hippo's got a hotel too. So
cool.
I didn't know if he knew that, but he knows now.
We know now.
Now we know live. Let's go.
But if you made it this far, you rock. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast or say something cool on Spotify. Give us 5 stars if you think that we earned it. A lot of people have been giving us reviews and leaving a little Q&A thing on Spotify, and we appreciate that. It really warms my heart to see that you guys enjoy our enthusiasm for this podcast because we have a lot of fun recording it. We were not fake friends. We're real good friends in real life. It's just not a show, believe it or not. So
yeah,
we all enjoy.
We're just
doing
having
this
fun talking about this cool format.
Follow us on our respective X, formerly known as Twitter accounts, and if you have any questions, you can send them.
Still Twitter. It's just Twitter.
If you have any questions, you can DM them to us, I guess, too. But you could also send them to commongroundmtgpod@gmail.com. That'll be in the description. We'll have some sick show notes. If Hippo sends me that link to that mono red Tron deck, I'll throw that in the show notes too for the YouTube video you're talking about.
Happily send that to you.
Cool. Because I want to watch that too now. So that's for me too. All right, y'all. Peace out. Stay safe.
Peace out, fam. Thanks for listening.
Later, everyone.
Bye. Okay, bye.